In October, we saw our real estate market in Victoria split. And then it split again and again and again. And by the end of the month, we have a market report that shows a story where we have 15 or more micro markets that are all operating independently from each other. And this is not normal for Victoria. We normally have a very cohesive market where we have large tracts of areas that all ebb and flow together. And so if you're shopping for a home and you're still shopping like it's one market, you're in a position where you might really miss out on an opportunity or you might overpay. I'm Sean P. and I'm a real estate agent in Victoria, BC. And thank you for checking out the channel. We make videos every week designed to help you make better decisions. So if you want to stay up to date on the best strategies and know what's going on in our market, please like and subscribe so you don't miss anything that we have coming up. As well, if you have plans involving real estate and you want to know how this market applies to your unique situation, you should reach out to me. And there's a link that you can use in the description to get in touch. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening in our market and what it means. Where's the opportunity and where's the risk? So first of all, it's not strange to have a city where there's lots of different neighborhoods and those neighborhoods behave slightly differently from one another within the context of a greater market. That's fairly common. And it's also common to have different property types within each neighborhood that behave a little bit differently from one each other as well. So it's fairly common to have a market where there's a bit of stratification and you have a number of different markets all taking place within the greater context of what's happening as a whole. But that usually isn't the way it is in Victoria. Victoria tends to be more cohesive. And I think a big part of it is because culturally in Victoria, we think of ourselves as a big little city, not a little big city. We haven't really crossed that boundary to really feeling like it's a large metropolis. It still kind of has that small town feel where you bump into people you know if you're out and about. And for that reason, when people are shopping within the greater context of the market, they usually don't niche down to a specific neighborhood when they're doing their research. There's just not enough homes here for the sample size to make sense for people to do that. And so we tend to shop in broader terms. We'll look at the peninsula or the core or the West Shore. And that's usually how we're pulling our comparisons. It's how we're guiding our search if we're talking locations. And so it's a bit of a departure to now see that we're seeing spikes in very specific areas or very specific property types, and it's a trend that'll be interesting to see if it continues. So if we're going to talk about segments of the market, the first thing we should do is separate the two biggest contenders when it comes to transactions in our marketplace, and those are single-family detached homes versus condos. These two combined make up the vast majority of our market, and they're behaving really differently right now. Single-family homes are performing very, very well. They're up from last year about 5.5%. That's a nice boost in terms of sales figures. But what's really interesting is it's especially up when compared with last month. We're up almost 20% in terms of the number of sales that we saw since last month. That's a huge jump. We also see an increase in average price of 7.2%. That's really encouraging. It shows that they're getting more attention in the marketplace. Now, condos are a different story. If we compare October with the same month last year, well, we sold 15% fewer condos this year. That's a pretty significant drop. We're also down from the previous month, 3.2% fewer than we sold in September. So it's clear that people are turning away from condos. One thing that's important is that average prices have not gone down. Condos are still actually selling for more than they did a year ago, 4.2% more on average price. And so that to me is encouraging because it shows that while fewer of them are selling, they're still holding their ground. So what's this all about? Why are we seeing this trend where buyers are pushing themselves towards single-family detached homes? Well, it's actually something that we've talked about in previous months' market reports. There is a really nice spread in terms of the range that you can get into the single-family detached market right now. If we look back a few years ago during COVID, it was almost unheard of to see detached properties selling for under $1 million. And yet when we look at the market reports for single-family detached homes, there's a lot of inventory changing hands depending on the area in really reasonable price ranges. The range of availability has expanded, and what that means is that there's people who are in these buffer zones where they might have been planning to buy a condo or a townhome, and they realize that for maybe the same price they could get into a single family detached home, and it might just mean that they're buying in a different area, or maybe it doesn't have all the upgrades they wanted, but for them it represents a much better long-term decision because it means they won't have to upgrade again in 3 to 5 years. If you think about that, it really starts to make sense of the landscape, because those transactions would be kind of stolen from the condo and townhouse transaction. They'd be moved over to single family detached, and that's why they're performing so well right now. Frankly, it's a great reason that if you're considering a move in the next 6 months, now is a smart time to start shopping, because you might be open to an area or an asset class that you previously didn't think was on the table for you, just because there's some great deals out there right now. Now, you might be wondering where I'm getting this all from, and we're fortunate as realtors to have access to a vast amount of statistical information because we're the ones who produce it. Every time that a home gets listed on our MLS system, our board tracks and collects data on it, and we have media reports that we release that the public has access to, but then we also have larger detailed reports that me and my partner Jane love to go through and research, because it gives you a real pulse on where the market's moving. And in particular, there's one section of the Stats Digest that we really love to look at, which is where they break down sales by price range. It's really useful because it gives you an idea of what's happening in each community within the greater context of the market, but also importantly, it gives you a really good idea of what a buyer or seller especially would expect if they're expecting to be in one of those price range. If you look at your community and you see that in your price range there's only been 2 sales this year, well, you can expect that it would probably take a little while for you to draw an offer, particularly if there's a lot of other homes that are on the market in your price range. And so this digest itself is invaluable in shaping the perspective that we're able to share with our clients. I'm not going to try to read you the whole thing because it's 52 pages long and it's overwhelming to say the least. So what I can do is I can give you some really useful generalities. Now, first of all, let's start with some of the easy ones. The areas that are performing really well include Oak Bay. Anything above 1.3 million is really turning over at the moment. And what's interesting is that the only reason it's not turning over lower than 1.3 million for single family detached, of course, is because there's not much available. We see healthy sales numbers going all the way up to the 4 million mark, at which point they stop tracking and they just say more than $4 million. Now, we also see a really healthy activity in Saanich East. Now, this is a large area, so it boasts large numbers, but pretty much anywhere over $800,000 for a single family detached home, there's inventory turning over in Saanich East. And I love this because it just gives rise to the level of diversity that we see in this marketplace. We have starter homes, single family detached homes trading at a healthy average rate in the 800 to a million range, and that just continues up all the way past, again, the $3 to $4 million range. Now, we also see a similar bandwidth of interest in North Saanich. We see a wide range of homes selling in all price ranges. They're slightly smaller numbers than in Saanich East, just because of population density. Essentially, there just aren't as many homes in North Saanich, but they're trading in all price ranges really healthily. Now, on the West Shore, we still see really healthy activity. It starts a little bit lower because they have some great value options for single family detached, but I will say that it actually seems to quiet down quite a bit around the 1.5 million mark. It's really steady up till 1.4, and then 1.45 to 1.5. Anything in that bandwidth and beyond, it starts to slow down a little bit. Central Saanich has similar numbers. In Central Saanich, we see really healthy activity up until about the 1.45 mark, and then it gets a little bit quieter. There's also been an interesting spike around the $2 million mark. There are some beautiful estate style properties in Central Saanich, and that's what I'd say that is in relationship to. And then for West Saanich, we see a very similar trajectory. Again, it's busy up until about the 1.5 mark. And then there's a little spurt around the 2 mark. And anything outside of those ranges tends to get lost in the middle. So what does this all mean for you? Well, if you are a buyer, this is a great time to shop. We've been saying this for a while and it still remains true. And likely not to change much before the new year. So if you get started now, you've got some runway ahead of you before the next time that we naturally expect seasonality to kick in and start making things crazy. If you're a first-time buyer, I would fight to get into Saanich East if you are trying to make it work on a medium budget, say under $1 million or under $1.1 million. There's all kinds of opportunities there. You're probably going to be getting into something that you'll fix up over time. But guess what? This is great neighborhoods. They're going to hold their value, and the upgrades, if you choose to buy something that you're going to upgrade over time, the upgrades will be realized in future equity. So it's a great opportunity. If you are looking on the West Shore, I mean, the real opportunity there right now is in larger homes. It's a very slow market in the 1.5 to 2.5 million range. So if you're looking at a larger home, you can get into something really special, and you could probably shop a little bit for a deal. There's a ton for sale, and I can't say that every seller is going to be willing to negotiate, but you might be able to find someone who's motivated and help them solve their problem, get to move on to their next opportunity and get a great price on a beautiful home. We see often that if sellers say no to an offer, they might be waiting months to see another one. So a lot of sellers will work really hard to make it work with you again, especially in those higher price points. If you are looking at upper crust property in the core, you know what? It's still moving nicely, but it is slower in upper price ranges. I think the opportunity on a whole, if you're shopping the detached market, is to try to skip up a grade, get into a better property than you thought you would a year or so ago, because that's the opportunity of this moment. It could be a better location, it could be better fixed finishes. It could be that you were looking at townhomes and now you're going to look at detached homes in the same neighborhood. There's a real opportunity to skip a stop on the bus right now, and that doesn't happen often. If you're looking at condos, don't think that this is a marketplace that's broken. It's just a marketplace that's performing a little bit slower right now. And it's funny because in real estate, we tell people all the time, or we hear all the time, people say like, you know, buy low, sell high. And right now there are some great low prices available, but people all of a sudden think that that's some kind of stigma. Well, no, now is the time to buy right now. So condos are on sale. It's a great time to look at stepping into that market, whether you're looking at an investment, you're thinking about downsizing. This is a great marketplace and it's a great time to step into it. I will say the coup de grace right now is for a downsizer, because we have a lot of marketplaces that are behaving really well. Oak Bay, Saanich East, you can still sell really high-end stuff at great prices, and you can trade into a much slower condo marketplace. So if you're looking to make that kind of a move, it's going to be pleasant on both sides, and that doesn't usually happen. So there you have it. Our market is split into all these various segments, and within them, everything's behaving a little bit differently. And that means that it's kind of tricky to navigate. So if you have something coming up, again, I'd love to brainstorm with you. You can use the link in the description to find me. We can spend some time chatting about what's going on, exactly where you are with your type of property. We can figure out what a great plan looks like. As always, if you haven't, please like and subscribe too. It really motivates me to keep this channel growing. It's something that I love doing, and I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to watch this. So as always, thank you. I'm going to sign off and we'll see you on the next one.